The day she came home from work on Valentine's Day, my girlfriend wouldn't stop saying how tired she was. She collapsed onto the bed and refused to get up. That's when I noticed it. She'd left for work that morning wearing a pair of black pantyhose, but now her legs were bare. I leaned in to kiss her, but then I saw them, two bright red hickeys on her neck. I walked out of the bedroom, my hands clenched into fists. I saw the custom heart-shaped cake I'd ordered on the counter and smashed it with one furious motion. It was time to find proof that she was cheating on me. She had definitely been wearing black pantyhose when she left for work. So where were they now? My girlfriend, Khloe Evans, was a receptionist at a big media firm, Vanguard Media Group. The job had a strict dress code, professional attire, which for her always included sheer black pantyhose. And since it was Valentine's Day, she'd gone all out, looking stunningly beautiful. The pantyhose she chose this morning had a delicate lace trim at the top. I hadn't been thrilled when I saw them. But then Khloe pulled on the black pencil skirt that was part of her work uniform, and its hemline perfectly covered the lace detail. Only then did I back off. Before she left, she promised she'd make it up to me tonight. But now, when I try to get close, she just pushed me away. "Ryan, I'm just so exhausted today," she murmured. "Can we just skip tonight? I'll make it up to you tomorrow, I promise." My girlfriend was gorgeous, and when she put on that pleading voice, I couldn't resist. I nodded and left the room. But my mind was racing. Could she be cheating on me? I pulled up the feed from the living room security camera and rewatched the moment she walked in. Her legs were trembling slightly, like someone who just finished a strenuous workout and hadn't quite recovered. A burning rage started to build in my gut. We were supposed to get married this year. We'd already started looking at rings. And now she was cheating on me behind my back? I shook my head, trying to calm down. I couldn't jump to conclusions. I didn't have any real proof. "Ryan, can you come help me with this button?" Khloe called out from the bedroom. "My nails are too long. I can't get it undone." I walked back in and started to unbutton her blouse. As I undid the second button, I saw them clearly, two vivid, unmistakable hickeys on her collarbone. For a second, the world went quiet. Then, a storm of fury erupted in my head. At the same time, I noticed a brand new diamond ring on her slender finger. A cold, bitter laugh escaped my lips. I finished unbuttoning her shirt and walked back to the living room. That ring, I thought. That must be his Valentine's gift to her. My eyes fell on the two elegant gift boxes sitting on her coffee table. Inside one was a gold necklace I'd spent $5,000 on. In the other was the latest model iPhone. Compared to a diamond ring, my gifts suddenly felt cheap. I'm just an account manager. I make decent money, but I can't give Khloe the life of a millionaire's daughter. But that's no damn excuse for her to cheat. That night, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Beside me, Khloe was sleeping soundly. Once I was sure she was deep asleep, I slipped out of bed and took her phone from her purse. I typed in her password, unlocked it, and started searching frantically. But what I found was disappointing. There was nothing, not a single shred of evidence that she was having an affair. It was just a normal phone. Confused, I was about to put it back in her purse. That's when my hand brushed against something else. Another phone. My brow furrowed as I pulled it out. It was the exact same model, the same color. For a second, I thought I was seeing double. But when I tried her usual password, a series of incorrect password warnings flashed on the screen. This was it. This was the one she actually used. I had one password attempt left. I had to think of another way. If I locked the phone, she'd know I'd been through her things. Suddenly, it hit me. Fingerprint unlock. But with Khloe sleeping so restlessly, I didn't dare risk grabbing her hand right now. I needed the right opportunity. With a sigh, I placed the phone back in her purse exactly as I found it. The next morning, Khloe left for work like any other day. This time, I followed her. I had to know who was doing this to me. I'd already called in sick to my own office. I had all day. Khloe arrived at her building, a sleek glass tower in the heart of downtown Chicago, and took her position at the front desk. I set myself up in a Starbucks across the street. Through the massive, plate glass lobby doors, I had a clear view of her every move. Her job was pretty simple. When no one was at the desk, she'd straighten things up or scroll on her phone. I sat there, my brow knotted, the coffee in my cup growing cold. The morning dragged on. My stomach rumbled, but I hadn't seen a single thing out of the ordinary. Khloe's behavior was completely normal. Just as I was about to grab a bite to eat and come back, a black sedan pulled up directly in front of the building's entrance. The security guard recognized the car and didn't say a word as it parked in the no parking zone. A moment later, a man in a tailored suit stepped out. The instant Khloe saw the car, she put her phone down. I watched as she quickly smoothed her skirt, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and put on a bright smile. She practically jogged to the door to hold it open for him. At first, I didn't think much of it. That was a receptionist's job, after all. But as soon as the man stepped inside, Khloe looped her arm through his. She leaned her head against his shoulder, their movements intimate and familiar. Like a couple. My teeth clenched. The long wait had finally paid off. I had my proof. She was cheating, and I had just found the guy. I ran to a spot about 40 yards behind the parked car, outside the security guard's line of sight. I zoomed in with my phone's camera and took a clear picture of the license plate. Seething with rage, I drove home and immediately started running the plate number on my laptop. It didn't take long to find a match. Mark Hayes, managing director of Vanguard Media Group. The information hit me like a physical blow. A sharp pain shot through my chest, and I had to force myself to breathe. The rage was still there, but now it was cold, calculating. We were done, obviously. But first, I was going to make them both regret this. Mark Hayes was a well-known figure in the Chicago media scene. I couldn't understand why a guy like that would be involved with a receptionist at his own company. But that didn't matter. It just made it easier to expose them. With a name, finding more information was simple. Sure enough, a few more searches on Facebook brought me to his profile. Mark Hayes was married, and he had a daughter. I stared at a photo of his smiling wife and little girl. And in that moment, I knew exactly how I was going to get my revenge. Sleeping with my girlfriend? Huh. I muttered to the screen. I bet your wife doesn't know about that. You started this, Mark. Don't blame me for finishing it. I needed hard evidence of their affair. Then, I would deliver it personally to Mark Hayes' wife. I couldn't imagine any woman who would tolerate her husband cheating. The next day, I followed Khloe again. But for 2 straight days, Mark Hayes never showed up at the office. Khloe just stood at her desk, acting completely normal, receiving no special treatment. I started to frown. It was possible she had no idea Mark was married and had a family. Finally, on the 4th day, the black sedan appeared at the entrance again. Khloe greeted him with that same radiant smile, took his arm, and they disappeared inside together. I could only imagine what they were doing in there. All I knew was that almost every time Mark visited, Khloe would leave work wearing a new pair of pantyhose. Sitting in the Starbucks, my heart felt like a block of ice. I felt nothing for Khloe anymore. The only thing that brought me any satisfaction was the thought of revenge. I waited patiently. Around 3 p.m., Mark finally left the building, with Khloe seeing him off attentively. The black sedan pulled away, and I immediately started my car and followed. He didn't disappoint me. He drove straight home. The sedan turned into a private underground garage for a luxury condo building, but the security guard stopped me at the gate. Sir, residents and registered guests only. The guard held up a hand, blocking my way. Hey man, I'm with the renovation crew, I said, leaning out the window with a friendly smile. I offered him a cigarette, just checking on the progress for Unit 18-301. The guard took the cigarette, and his demeanor instantly changed. Oh, gotcha. First time here. Let me get you a temporary pass. You could just drive right in next time. How much longer on the job? Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Probably another couple of weeks. This place is huge. The rich really live differently, huh? I said, giving him my license plate number. I knew I'd be back, so a temporary pass was perfect. Just then, a spam call came through on my phone. I answered it, pretending it was one of my crew members hurrying me along. I gave the guard a quick wave and drove into the garage. The garage was massive, but thankfully, the parking spots were clearly marked by building and unit number. After driving around for what felt like an hour, I finally found the black sedan. It was parked in a spot labeled Building 18, Unit 301. Taking a deep breath, I decided to go upstairs. I had to be 100% sure this was his home. He didn't know me from Adam, and neither would his wife. I found apartment 301, cleared my throat, and rang the doorbell. A moment later, the door opened. It was him. Hey, wait, who are you? Is Sarah here? I asked, pretending to be confused and looking past him into the apartment. Who is it, Daddy? A little girl's voice chirped. A small girl with pigtails, looking absolutely adorable, came skipping up behind him. Mark picked her up, his face softening with affection. "Friend, I think you have a wrong place. There's no Sarah here. This is Unit 301 in Building 18. Mark was surprisingly polite. "Oh man, I'm so sorry. My bad. She must be in Building 17. I apologized profusely as he closed the door. I could hear a woman's voice on the phone from inside the apartment. That must have been his wife. Now I was certain. This was Mark Hayes' home. My plan was set. The next time I saw his car pull up to Khloe's office, I wouldn't wait around. I'd head straight here. 4. When I got back to our apartment, Khloe was already there. "Where have you been?" "I'm starving," she complained the moment I walked in. I just smiled, didn't offer an explanation, and pulled out my phone to order her favorite takeout sushi. "Got that spicy tuna roll you love. It'll be here soon." "I'm exhausted, gonna go lie down for a bit," I said. Without waiting for her reaction, I went straight to the bedroom. Khloe didn't seem to think anything was strange. This was how I usually acted after a long day of overtime. Hours passed. When I woke up, it was dark outside. Beside me, Khloe was fast asleep. Tonight was the night. I had to get into that phone. I took the second phone from her purse and tiptoed back to the bed. She was sleeping deeply, one hand draped over the side of the mattress. It was the perfect opportunity. I gently took her index finger and pressed it onto the phone's sensor. It unlocked. Making sure she hadn't stirred, I hurried into the bathroom and locked the door. There weren't many apps on the phone, just WhatsApp. I opened the call log. There was only one number called over 100 times. No doubt about it, this was Mark Hayes. I opened WhatsApp. His name was saved with a heart emoji next to it. He was the only contact in her entire list. I let out a sneer. In her own twisted way, Khloe was loyal. Just not to me. I remembered how she made me delete every female friend and old classmate from my phone. But when I had tried to do the same with the guys on her phone, she'd blown up at me, screaming that I was violating her privacy. I guess I was too in love with her back then. I'd backed down immediately, and that tolerance had just emboldened her, leading her down this path, all the way to cheating on me. I opened their chat history and started reading. The more I read, the more the rage burned inside me. It was insane. I never would have guessed Khloe had this side to her. Every message she sent was cloyingly sweet, full of cutesy emojis. She sent him provocative pictures of herself in lingerie, and some with nothing on at all. The messages themselves were graphic, detailing their plans to meet up at different hotels, different places for a thrill. I felt sick to my stomach. On Valentine's Day, she hadn't even been at work. Mark had picked her up the moment she got there. They'd booked a suite at the Langham and spent the entire day together, only leaving when it was time for her to come home. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. I spat into the toilet, then forwarded the entire chat history, every message, every photo, to my own phone. I had the evidence. Now, my revenge could begin. I slipped the phone back in her purse and got back into bed as if nothing had happened. The next morning, Khloe was up unusually early. She put on a full face of makeup, pulled on a pair of stockings, and rushed out the door without so much as a goodbye. I watched from the window as she got into a familiar black sedan that was waiting for her. So that's why she was in such a hurry. Mark Hayes was her personal chauffeur now. I quickly finished the protein bar in my hand, ran downstairs, and got in my car to follow them. They went to a high-end Italian restaurant. The restaurant was designed with private booths. I got a table in the booth right next to theirs, ordered a glass of juice, and leaned back, pressing my ear against the partition. "Mark," I heard Khloe say, her voice low. "I'm pregnant." I froze. The news was a bombshell. 5. Pregnant? From the tone of Mark's voice, this was clearly not part of his plan. "I thought I told you to take the pill every time we didn't use a condom." "How could you be pregnant?" he hissed, his voice low and incredulous. I could picture the color draining from his face. This was a complication he couldn't afford. "I did. I took it just like you said." "I don't know how this happened," Khloe replied, a quiver of distress in her voice. "Mark, let's get married," she pleaded. "I'll break up with Ryan right now." So she really didn't know? She had no idea Mark already had a family. Hearing her say that, I almost laughed out loud. There was no way Mark Hayes would agree to marry her. His life was perfect. He wasn't going to throw it all away for his receptionist. "I can't, Khloe. My position as managing director. I've only had it for a year. My family would never approve of me getting married right now. You know they want me to focus entirely on my career," Mark said. His acting was laughably bad. Only someone as blinded as Khloe would ever fall for such a pathetic excuse. But Mark, what about me? What about our baby? She pressed, her voice rising with panic. Our child can't be born without a father. Look, I don't know what to do, Mark sighed dramatically. Khloe, maybe you should get an abortion. I've heard that babies conceived when birth control fails can have health problems. I wouldn't want that for our child. His words were framed as concern, but the meaning was crystal clear. He wanted the baby, the evidence gone? No, absolutely not. Khloe snapped back, her voice sharp. Mark, this is our first child. How can you even suggest that? It was as if some maternal instinct had suddenly kicked in. She was furious. Khloe, be realistic. We don't have a choice. I can't have a child out of wedlock, Mark argued, his voice laced with feigned desperation. Listening to them from the next booth, I felt a wave of nausea. The power of love was truly something else. Even Khloe, who was usually so sharp, was completely falling for this amateur hour performance. After a long silence, Khloe spoke again. I have an idea, but you have to promise me you'll convince your family as soon as you can. I can only keep this up for about a year. She had a plan. What is it? You're not getting an abortion? Mark asked, sounding wary. No, I can't bear the thought of losing our first baby. I'm going to have him, Khloe said, her voice filled with a new, steely resolve. All right, let's hear it. What's this brilliant plan? Mark said, his tone heavy with skepticism. This plan, it might mean I'll be divorced when we finally get together. Can you still accept me then? A chill ran down my spine. Of course. I'll always love you, Mark exclaimed, his voice suddenly full of enthusiasm. Okay, hearing you say that gives me the courage to do this, Khloe said, taking a deep breath. I'm going to marry Ryan. That way, the baby can be born legitimately. Later, once you're secure in your career, I'll divorce him and we can be together. 6. I knew it. I squeezed my fist so hard my knuckles turned white. That conniving bitch was going to use me. Khloe, that's brilliant. Why didn't I think of that? God, I love you so much. Mark's voice boomed with excitement. I could hear him getting up from his seat. They spent the next hour hashing out the details of their little scheme. My phone recorded everything. When they finally got up to leave, I shut off the recording and just sat there, feeling numb. How did Khloe become this person? The woman I knew, the woman I fell in love with, was so different. My mind drifted back to the night we met. I was at a local brewery with some friends. Suddenly, Khloe burst through the door, looking terrified, and hid behind our table. A few seconds later, 3 huge, menacing guys stormed in. They spotted her immediately. As they moved to grab her, my friends and I stood up, blocking their path. Hey, what do you think you're doing? You can't just manhandle someone in public, I said. I was bigger back then, fresh out of college and hitting the gym regularly. I planted myself firmly in front of them. Listen, kid, stay out of it, the leader growled. She owes our company 30 grand. The deadline's passed. We're taking her with us. It's called paying your debts. So that was it. She was in trouble over money. Debt or not, this looks a lot like assault. I suggest you leave before I call the cops, I said, standing my ground. With my 7 friends backing me up, the 3 guys hesitated, shot her a final glare, and left. That's how we met. She took me out to dinner to thank me. Over the meal, I learned that she wasn't broke, just that she'd been trying to hold on to the little savings she had. We had a few beers, and the more we talked, the more I felt for her. She lost her parents young and was raised by her grandfather, who had also passed away 3 years earlier. She was completely alone. We started talking every day. I was worried about her. Eventually, the loan sharks cornered her again. She still didn't have the money, so I gave her the $20,000 I'd saved up since starting my job. Combined with the $10,000 she had, she was able to pay them off. Our connection grew deeper, more intimate. I have no way to pay you back, she whispered to me one night, drunk and curled up in my arms. So I guess I'll just have to give you myself. From now on, I'm yours. That night, we slept together for the first time. After that, she got a new job, and our life together was stable and happy. I really thought it would last forever. I never imagined it would end up like this. I left the restaurant and stood outside, lighting a cigarette, and then it all clicked into place. Our story started with money. It was only fitting that it would end because of it. Her previous job had been as a sales associate at Saks Fifth Avenue. She was gorgeous, had great style, and was a natural at sales. She quickly became the top seller in her department. Suddenly, she was making twice as much as I was. Her world transformed. Designer bags, expensive jewelry, a whole new wardrobe. Her spending habits escalated to a level I couldn't possibly support. She started complaining that my job didn't pay enough, that I wasn't ambitious. Then, she got into an argument with a major client and was fired. Dejected, she took the receptionist job at the media firm. But once you've had a taste of luxury, it's hard to go back. My salary was pocket change compared to what she was used to. And that's when Mark Hayes entered the picture. I drove home. I now had 3 pieces of irrefutable evidence: the recording, the chat logs, and the photos of them together. Tomorrow, the moment Mark Hayes left his house, I was going to pay his wife a visit. You want to destroy my life? I'll destroy yours first. When Khloe got home that afternoon, she found a full dinner I'd cooked waiting for her. She was ecstatic, melting into my arms and cooing about how sweet I was. I knew it was all part of the act. She wanted to sleep with me, get pregnant by me in her mind, and then use the child in her belly as the reason for us to get married. She wanted me to be the fall guy. I just smiled and played along, savoring this one last performance of affection. With the recordings I had, I wasn't afraid of anything. The next morning, Khloe, who usually rushed to get ready for work, came running out of the bathroom with a look of pure joy on her face. "Ryan, I'm pregnant." I had to stop myself from rolling my eyes. The woman was an idiot. Did she really think a pregnancy test would be positive the very next day? She was getting sloppy. "You're pregnant?" I shot out of bed, faking an overjoyed expression. I picked her up and spun her around, then immediately started getting dressed. "What are you doing? Where are you going?" Khloe asked, a flicker of confusion on her face. "I'm calling in sick. I have to drive to my parents' place right now and tell them the good news in person," I said. I gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, taking in her triumphant smile one last time, and walked out the door. My parents' place? Not a chance. I was going back to Mark Hayes' condo, building to wait for him to leave. I parked in a visitor spot and found a place to hide behind a large SUV across from his designated parking space. Khloe's plan was now in motion. She would have already told Mark the good news. Sure enough, half an hour later, Mark Hayes came down, jacket slung over his shoulder, and drove off. I stood up, straightened my clothes, and headed for the elevator. A minute later, I was standing in front of apartment 301, ringing the bell. The door opened to reveal a beautiful woman with a kind, gentle face. "Hello? Can I help you?" she asked, her voice soft. She looked like a wonderful wife and mother. Too bad she married a pig. "I'm here to see you," I said, my voice low and serious. "I don't know you. Why are you looking for me?" she said, taking a step back. I saw her hand move towards a panic button on the wall. She was cautious. "Please don't be alarmed. I'm not here to hurt you. Mark Hayes is your husband, correct?" She blinked, then nodded slowly. The mention of her husband's name seemed to put her slightly at ease. "I'm very sorry to have to tell you this," I said, looking her straight in the eye. "But your husband is having an affair with my girlfriend." Her eyes widened in shock, then narrowed in disbelief. "That's impossible." Her voice was firm, but the way her eyes immediately welled up told me she believed me. "Don't be so quick to deny it." "I have proof," I said gently. "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't desperate. My girlfriend is pregnant with a child." That was the knockout blow. She staggered back, catching herself on the doorframe. "What proof do you have?" she whispered after a moment. She invited me in. It was a Tuesday, so her daughter was at school. I took out my phone and showed her the chat logs. Her hand trembled as she took the phone from me. She read every word, her eyes growing redder and redder until silent tears began to stream down her face. When she handed the phone back, she looked utterly broken. "Is there anything else?" she asked, her voice surprisingly calm. It was an eerie composure that worried me. This wasn't the reaction I wanted. It felt too subdued. "Yes," I said, my own frustration growing. "I have a recording of my girlfriend telling him she's pregnant, and their entire plan to pin the baby on me." I played the audio file from the restaurant. She listened intently, the tears flowing freely now. After that, I showed her the pictures of them together, holding hands, his arm around her. "You look a little older than me, so I'll call you ma'am. I'm so sorry about this. What they did is on them, not us." She nodded, wiping her tears away with the back of her hand. "You came here for a reason. What do you want me to do?" she asked. She was smart. She knew my showing up minutes after her husband left meant I had a plan. First, I need to know what you're thinking. Are you going to divorce him? I asked, holding back my own agenda. I haven't decided yet. Give me your number. When I figure it out, I'll call you, she said, pulling herself together. She walked me to the door. I left feeling deflated. I understood her hesitation, but I wanted my revenge. I didn't go home. I found a quiet bar and started drinking. It was late when I finally stumbled back to my apartment. Ryan, why are you so drunk? I thought you were going to your parents. Khloe rushed over to help me, a look of concern on her face. I shoved her away hard. I braced myself against the table and stared at her, my eyes cold. Ryan, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm pregnant. Are you crazy? She shrieked, catching her balance just before she fell. Pregnant. I laughed, a bitter, ugly sound. Yeah, I wish you had fallen. I collapsed onto the sofa, a mocking smile plastered on my face. A flicker of panic crossed Khloe's eyes, but she pressed on. What is wrong with you? I'm carrying your child, and you're saying you wish I'd lose it. Are you even human? She started to cry, playing the victim. I just laughed harder. Khloe, do you really think I'm that stupid? Who finds out they're pregnant the day after they have sex? Were you being clever, or just sloppy? The color drained from her face. The panic was undeniable now. What are you talking about? I don't understand. You don't understand? I roared. Let me make it clear. I know everything. I have proof of the whole damn affair. As for that bastard child in your stomach, you can let Mark Hayes worry about it. I wasn't holding back anymore. It was all out in the open. You know, she stammered, her body slumping as if all the energy had been sucked out of her. That's right, I know everything. I sneered, getting to my feet. The rage had burned away the alcohol. And don't think for a second that you can just leave me and marry Mark Hayes and live happily ever after. I stalked towards the bedroom. Mark Hayes has a wife. He has a daughter. There is no way in hell he would ever marry you. He's 35 years old, Khloe. Did you really believe he was putting off marriage to focus on his career? Use your head for once. I slammed the bedroom door and locked it, leaving her standing alone in the living room, completely lost. Later that night, my phone rang. It was her, Mark's wife. I made my decision. I'm divorcing him, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. It was a decision that was clearly tearing her apart. I've already told my girlfriend everything, I said. Do you want me to give her a little push in your direction? There was a long pause on the other end. Then a quiet yes, and she hung up. I unlocked the bedroom door. Khloe was still standing in the same spot, staring blankly into space. If you don't believe me, Khloe, I have his address. Go knock on the door. See for yourself. She snapped back to reality, her eyes blazing with a desperate fire. She ran into the bedroom, grabbed her phone and purse, and stood in front of me. Give me the address, she screamed. I told her the address, and even called an Uber for her. She didn't say another word, just stormed out of the apartment and got into the car. There was no way I was going to miss this. I grabbed my keys and drove to Mark's condo building. I watched her Uber's location on my phone. She was still a few minutes away. I parked in a visitor spot and ran upstairs, hiding in the stairwell. I had a perfect, slightly obscured view of the hallway in front of apartment 301. The Uber app showed she had arrived. 10 minutes later, Khloe appeared, storming down the hall to 301 and pounding on the door. The door opened. It was Mark. The second he saw her, panic washed over his face. He tried to shove her out into the hallway and closed the door. What are you doing here? How did you find this place? He hissed, his voice a furious whisper. Mark Hayes, you bastard. You lied to me. Why did you lie? You have a family, don't you? Who's in there? Is that your wife? Khloe shrieked, completely losing control. Just then, the door to 301 opened again. The wife, Jennifer, stepped out, a perfect picture of innocence and confusion. From my hiding spot, I had to smile. She was a hell of an actress. Honey, who is this? What's going on? She's shouting so loudly I could hear her from the kitchen. Jennifer asked, her voice calm and gentle. The word honey made Khloe explode. Honey? She called you honey. You son of a bitch, Mark. I'm pregnant with your baby, and you lied to me. 10 what? Khloe's words hung in the air. Mark lunged to cover her mouth, but it was too late. Jennifer stared at him, her eyes wide with horror as tears began to fall. Jennifer, listen, I can explain. Mark started, his forehead beating with sweat. Explain? She's standing on our doorstep. What is there to explain? Mark, I can't believe what you've done to me, to our daughter. I was a fool to ever trust you. With that, Jennifer turned, walked back inside, and slammed the door shut. Crack! The sound of Mark's hand hitting Khloe's face echoed in the hallway. You stupid, shameless bitch. Who told you to come here? Get out. Get an abortion. I never want to see you again, he roared, pushing her to the ground. He turned to go back inside and deal with his wife. But Khloe wasn't done. She scrambled up and grabbed a fistful of his hair, pulling him back. They started fighting, a vicious, ugly brawl right there in the hallway. I watched, a detached observer to the chaos I had created. My phone buzzed. It was Jennifer. Thank you, she said, and hung up. I shrugged. It was a shame it had to come to this, but they had brought it on themselves. Mark, being stronger, quickly gained the upper hand. He grabbed Khloe by the hair and started punching her hard in the face. She fought back, scratching and kicking, their struggle growing more and more brutal. I'd seen enough. I walked down the stairs, got in my car, and drove away. I went back to the apartment, packed my things, and left for good. The rent was paid for another 6 months. Khloe could have a place. I checked into a hotel and felt a profound sense of relief. The satisfaction of my revenge was complete. I slept until noon the next day. When I finally turned my phone back on, a call from Khloe came through immediately. Ryan, I'm so sorry. I got the abortion. I've cut all ties with Mark. Please, can you just forgive me this one time? Her words just made me feel sick. She had an affair, got pregnant, and now she wanted forgiveness. What world was she living in? I'm not an idiot, Khloe. We're over. Don't ever contact me again. I hung up and blocked her number. I quit my job, packed a suitcase, and bought a one-way ticket to Portland. I started over. Life was quiet, and for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. One weekend, I was walking by the riverfront when I saw a familiar face, Jennifer Hayes with her daughter. She saw me too and gave me a small, friendly wave. Hello again, she said as I walked over. We talked for a while. She told me what happened that night. She had called the police. Mark had beaten Khloe so badly that she passed out and miscarried right there in the hallway. Mark was arrested. As soon as he was released, Jennifer's father, a powerful man, had him fired from his position. The evidence I had given her allowed her to divorce him and take everything. He left the marriage with nothing. After Khloe recovered, she went to find Mark again. No one knows what was said, but later that day, Khloe jumped off a bridge into the river. Mark was taken in for questioning in connection with her suicide. This time, he didn't get out. Jennifer didn't know all the details. She had decided to move to Portland for a fresh start, a coincidence that felt strangely fitting. That evening, I sat on the balcony of my new apartment and lit a cigarette. A breeze picked up, catching the ash and carrying it away into the night sky. Just like the past, I thought. Gone with the wind.